So Loretta, welcome back. We had a great conversation. Was it a year ago almost?
It might have been this
Oh,
last summer or fall. I can't remember when we met.
last summer. It was last summer. So I'll put a link to it also in this. But it's
Okay.
great to have you back and talk again about, because now you're officially 50. So now you count as a over 50
Right,
or 50 and
right.
over athlete. So you were still a baby when we
Yes,
talked before.
yes. Well, thanks for having me on. I appreciate being able to have an opportunity to talk.
Yeah, this is great because there's a lot to talk about. And the first thing I want to do is just catch up on how your racing has been going, because you have been so busy.
Okay. I'm trying to remember when I saw you last. Did we get a chance to talk about Alexander County 24 hour when we met before?
I think you had just finished the one in the desert, the 24-hour.
Oh, okay. So that was Desert Solstice.
Yeah,
Okay.
you had just
So
finished that, I
yes,
think.
yeah. So since Desert Solstice, last May I did Alexander County 24-hour race, which was also on a high school track in North Carolina. And that race I ended up finishing first overall. And ran my most miles. So that was good. Some struggles in the race, but I ended up, finishing and continuing for the 24 hours.
Wow.
So that was that race. And then a few months, maybe not quite 2 months after that, I ran 6 days in the Dome in Wisconsin, which
Okay.
is an indoor track around an ice rink at the Pettit National Ice Center. And that one wasn't my best race. And that's kind of from there, I decided to seek some support with physical therapy because I was having some troubles. So I did finish third overall there, but it wasn't what I was hoping for.
Yeah. Just now,
So
because I have never done those kind of races. I did watch the one on in and out. I dropped in and out of the desert solstice race. But do you switch directions at some point, or is it the same
yes.
direct? Okay. Thank
Yeah,
heaven.
every 4 hours you get to
Every
switch
4 hours.
directions.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's kind of a party. Everybody's super excited about being able to go the other way, unwind.
Yeah. And then at the same time, it seems to me like, and I'm only gathering this from Facebook and Instagram postings, but it seems like your coaching life has really kind of ramped up a lot
Oh,
also.
for sure, for sure. Yep. Along with my running, my personal running, I'm coaching several athletes, which is super exciting. I've had some great opportunities to coach. Actually, I have a huge number of athletes over 50. So I guess we should talk about it on this show. And it's been incredible experience for me. I'm learning so much. I have one particular athlete that was 62 when she ran and finished her first 100 last year at Tunnel Hill. So it's just
That's
really cool to be able to support people of all ages and get to reach that finish line safely. And I'm
yeah.
currently working with a, a male athlete that is in his 60s. And before I started working with him, he was getting ready to have knee surgery, but he really wanted to start, with running coaching. And so we've been starting. Well, he's had a little bit of setbacks. So now I'm collaborating with his physical therapist, his strength coach, and with him and our dietitian to support him to get him going. So it's really incredible. He's using what's called an Alter G, which is a treadmill that's uh,
Yeah.
decreases the gravity, so he's not
Yeah.
using his full body weight. And so together we're writing his training plan, and his goal race is Hennepin 50K. So, so many cool opportunities to be able to figure out how to support aging athletes, get them there safely. And I love this collaborative team approach that I've been given the opportunity.
That's really great, because you're going to learn so much from them, and you get that. And I love that sort of cross-disciplinary, you know, inputs for those
Yes.
kind of to get somebody ready. And the woman that you just mentioned, that was another cue to the last time we talked, because you mentioned that she was approaching her first 100 miler when
Yes.
you and I
Yeah.
last talked. You were getting her ready
Okay.
for
Yep.
that.
So she finished under cutoff, and she is going back for another finish this year at Tunnel Hill.
Oh,
So
that's great.
it
That's
was
great.
supposed to be, I think, one and done, but now she's going again.
That's wonderful. That's really
Yeah,
good.
it's exciting.
You got the bug. So in the course of this, I don't remember if it has been going on more than the last year, but you started to have some issues that you wanted to, you had to seek out some physical therapy for. And that's what we wanted to talk about tonight, because it's something that does happen to, I guess, men also. Does it
It
also?
happens to men and women for sure. And
And it's
that's
kind of a
that's
certain
yeah.
age.
Yeah. Well, I think it can happen at any age. So it's kind of become a bit of a passion of mine to kind of share the word about my experience, because I think many women, probably men, also experience this, and nobody talks about it, and we just pretend like it doesn't happen, and so then it just keeps going, and you deal with it. So when I would say in my mid 30s, I started having a little bit of bladder leaking when I ran. And my solution for many, many years was to use a tampon to try to stop that. A doctor at one point told me that. And so I started using that. And for a long time, that did help for me. If I put that in there, it was just enough to put in a little bit of pressure to stop me from leaking. But as I have evolved into doing ultra marathons and doing these 24-hour events, it became a real problem for me. So I was spending, I think there's races I could say that I spent 2 hours worth of time in 24 hours going to the bathroom, because by the time you go to the bathroom, you stop and you have to get started, it just slows everything down.
Yeah.
And so I had issues at Desert Solstice, and then I had issues at Alexander County, and then it got worse when I went to 6 days in the Dome. So I left there kind of with a mission to figure out and try to figure out my issue, so I knew I could take time off of my races. And I believe age doesn't need to be a barrier, so we need to figure out some of these things that do happen while you age. I think people that do have it, some people start it much younger too, and it doesn't always have relation to having children, but it can. That can kind of bump that up. I've read, I just wrote some notes here, that about 25 million people have the issue with urinary incontinence, and 75 to 80% of those people are women. And I also read that 1 in 4 women over the age 18 experience leaking of some sort. So it's something that's really prevalent, and a lot of people are just dealing with it.
Yeah.
I know some women just wet their pants during a race. They just deal with that's what's going to happen. And so I decided to seek help. So I went to I was running with a great running friend who is a younger mom, and she was having issues because she just had a baby. So we were talking about this on a run one day, and she was seeing a pelvic floor physical therapist. And as she talked about it, I thought that's what I need. I need to do that. Well, I didn't move forward because, it's just something that, I wasn't raised to talk about that kind of stuff and to do that. So I didn't move forward. So then I had another race and became really discouraged and thought, okay, now is time to do this. So I reached out to a wonderful physical therapist at Team Rehab. I live in Michigan. So Lisa Elsie is my physical therapist. And so I just kind of learned a little bit about what can we do. So I don't know if you want me to tell you a little bit about my experience and how that all started.
I think so, because I think people, this is something that can affect that many, that high percentage of people. I think so. I think
for sure. Okay, so what happened is I went and was getting my very first appointment was an internal exam, so she could kind of determine what was going on for me. Everybody has a different issue that may cause leaking. My issue, what she figured out, or what she believes, is that my left side was weaker than my right side, which a lot of people have imbalances in muscles. And so kind of her thoughts was that my muscles were trying to support my leg moving forward, and they weren't doing the work of the pelvic floor. And so we had to get that going. Okay. So I started using a pelvic wave floor chair. So it's just a chair that you actually just go sit on, fully clothed, and it's magnetic. So it works by stimulating the muscles, kind of like if you were doing, I don't know, a couple hundred Kegels in an hour. Oh, wow. It's doing that work for you. You're just sitting there. It can reach, I think, as far up as your belly button inside to work on those muscles. Wow. So I was going, it was really pretty cool. And so, it's not painful. You feel it. It's like kind of tapping on you, and it's kind of noisy, but you're just sitting there. And it's about, I think it was like 20 minutes. So you do 10 minutes, then you do a break, and like a little bit of break, and then another 10 minutes. And there's different frequencies that they use. So they change at that 10 minute, the frequency of the magnetic force, I guess. I'm not an expert in that, but that's kind of the way I understand it. So I would go there twice a week for that. And so I started that in June. And then also started doing a lot of strength training, single leg strength training to, I started with blood flow restriction therapy on my left leg because that was my weak leg. And what that means is they put like a blood pressure cuff on my leg, or that's kind of what it's like, and had me do a lot of single legged activities. What they were doing is I had about 60% blood flow in that leg. And the idea is it stimulates muscle growth quicker. So by doing that, it's almost like muscle growing 3 times faster than if I didn't use the blood flow restriction cuff. So that was really very interesting.
I'm writing that down.
Yeah, it was really cool. So we were doing single leg strengths like step ups and lunges and all of those kind of things, single leg squats. And so then I started, getting strength while I was also doing the pelvic floor therapy. Well, in the midst of all of that, I'm still running. So those solutions don't happen overnight. Right. So I found a product called Revive, and Revive is like a pessary. It's sort of like a tampon, and you can insert it and it puts pressure so that you don't leak. So that's what I started using in the meantime, as I was going through all the therapy to try to improve things, so I didn't always need a Revive. I actually have one. Do you want me to show it?
Yeah, do please.
Okay. So Revive looks like this. So it's kind of like a tampon. Whoops, over here. It's like a tampon. Yeah. And then this piece, whoops, can't see things backwards. This piece gets put into the device, and you squeeze it to put it into the device.
Okay.
And so then when you insert it, this inserts, and then it closes things off. Once you put this in, you don't feel it. So that's amazing. So the way this works, this product, it's a monthly subscription. If you decide you want it, because you have to replace these strings every time you use it. It's kind of like a tampon string. Yeah, and for, of course, health reasons, you need to do that. And it comes with 30 strings. And so then you just replace it every month. So it's been, and that's what it looks like. It's been a lifesaver. And I would say all of the things I've done has been a big game changer in my life as far as running, because my leaking caused me to not want to ever run without having a tampon or something available. Yeah. And so that was, really hard for me. And so with physical therapy, I've gotten to the point. So I started in June. By October, so when I first started in June, I could go about 5 minutes without leaking while I ran. And with a combination of the strength training that I was doing and the pelvic wave floor chair, by October, I did 30 miles without leaking. So I made some huge progress. In a short amount of time, but I still, for my confidence level, the Revive has been amazing for me, because I'm not ready to attempt a 100-mile race or even a 30-mile race without something, because I have to be aware of it. Yeah. And this you can put in place for 12 hours and not worry about it. When I first started, I'll be honest, I wasn't very adept at putting it in. And so my physical therapist also helped me with that process, so I can figure out where it would be comfortable. Mm-hmm. And once I learned, once I insert it, sometimes I forget it's there, because you just don't notice it. Mm-hmm. So it's been amazing. So I ran my first race using that. I ran 50 miles and I didn't notice it was there, and I didn't have any problems, and I wasn't in the bathroom all the time. So that was a huge win for me. That's great. So that's kind of been my experience. I think that it's nice if you can pair all of those things together. I think Revive is a great solution for women, to a quick fix to do to help them. But I also think those other pieces are good too to have in place, because I don't always have something in my hand. Like, let's say I'm running across, somebody's like, hey, let's run across a parking lot, or I'm at a race and we're going to run to the finish line to catch somebody. Now, because of the things that I've done, I can feel comfortable doing that, where before I would have chose to walk because I would have been afraid that I was going to wet my pants, because the feeling of the leaking, I don't even know it. It's not like a sensation that I need to use the restroom. I just, leak. And so I think, having that gave me peace of mind, but the Revive has allowed me to feel like I can run races and not think about it, or I can go out on a long run and I don't even consider the fact that I might have that problem anymore. So it's been a big life changer for me.
Like quality of life changer.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I can't remember now where I saw this, maybe on Facebook, or maybe on your Instagram page, but you actually you had a video conversation with with your physical therapist.
Yes,
She
yes.
had a really bad case of like laryngitis or something, but
She
was
did.
explaining,
She did.
and that's,
Poor
I'll
Liesl
put a
could
link to
hardly
that
speak.
in too.
Yeah, that would be great because she is the expert. I'm just telling you from my,
Your experience.
point of view.
Mhm.
But definitely that video, while her voice was not great, it was some really good information in there. And
Yeah.
I do believe I'm going to have her back for a Q&A, or maybe the three of us could meet again and have a conversation
Yeah.
because she does have some really great information. I learned so very much from her. I mean, another thing I'll just kind of throw out that I learned is that when I started improving and I was excited about my improvement without using anything.
Mhm.
And then I had this really bad setback one day and I was really discouraged because I
Mhm.
went for a run. It was only a 10-mile run. Like I said, I'd had a 30-mile run. So I was feeling pretty confident, went out for a 10-mile run and I was having a lot of problems with leaking. It was awful. And the problem that comes with leaking is chafing. So,
Exactly.
you don't want to do
Exactly.
it because it
Right.
causes a lot of problems. And so I almost didn't want to go back and tell her because I was kind of embarrassed and defeated. Like, oh my gosh, I mean, why am I having a setback? I'm doing all the right things. And so
Yeah.
then we had a conversation. Well, that day I went out, it was in the summer and I was a little dehydrated going in and I didn't take water. And normally I can get by on a 10-mile run without, out a lot of water. But the conversation we had is she's like, your pelvic floor is a muscle, just like all your muscles, they need hydration.
Oh my
And if you're
gosh.
not giving
Right.
them hydration, they're not working. And I'm like, wow, I had never even considered that.
Yeah, totally makes
And
sense.
so then it's like, okay, now I'm hydrating for that reason too, so I have to be a little bit smarter about that. So just the information I learned was absolutely incredible. So
Yeah. And I imagine it's also kind of a tricky titration to hydrate enough for the muscle
yes.
health without hydrating so much.
Yep.
You're like, where's this going to go?
Yeah, there's a balance.
So, and now some of the people that you are coaching, do you have some clients who've had this experience as well that you can?
So I haven't had anybody that has actually went to a physical therapy for this, but since I have been speaking about it, people are starting to reach out to me that I coach
Yeah.
that say, hey, can I try this product? And I
Yeah.
do have some samples of the product that I've been able to give to people to try because I definitely think it's worth the try. So if you have this issue, I mean, I think going to a physical therapist is probably really smart to kind of
Yeah.
diagnose your problem and figure that out. But
Right.
if this is an option, it might be something you mentioned to your physical therapist or, to try.
Right. Make
Because
sure
I'm not a
first that it's
doctor
not
and
something.
I'm not a doctor. I can't tell you,
Right.
but it is an over the counter thing. You can go to Amazon and buy it or go to their website and buy it. I do have a code. It's Loretta 15, and we can put that in the comments too. So if you want to try it, you can get 15% off. And if I do have social media, Ultra Crazy Runner, and you're welcome to reach out to me if you have a question and I can answer, because I really just want to help people get some help so they don't have to run the way I did for so many years without doing anything because I just didn't know. I did the best I could, but then it became, a big problem for me.
Yeah. You don't know. And then at the same time, like you and I were talking before we started, not everybody wants to say if they're having a problem, like,
Yes,
like,
it's embarrassing.
Right. So
Yeah.
giving that kind of information and you being so willing to talk about it is going to be super helpful to a lot of other people who this is, a problem that they're just probably thinking they have to kind of suffer on their own and get through it somehow. When it seems like it's really very, very treatable. Ultimately.
It is. I think it is. Yeah. I mean, I think it probably depends on your situation, and so my situation was something that we were able to treat. I was in therapy from June until about December. Now, I potentially might no.
That's great.
No, it was great. And I think there could be some potential that, I might have to go back for some maintenance of using that pelvic way floor again to see a chair, just maybe do some tightening, but for the most part, I'm not sure that's going to be the case for me, and I'm continuing doing my own strength training. And of course I use the Revive on my runs. So I have a solution to my issue so that it's not impacting my quality of life anymore because it was. Yeah. And now I feel pretty confident.
That's great. And I'm going to put as many, useful links as I can find. I'll put in this.
Okay. That's awesome.
When I post this video too. What race is up next for you?
So I haven't fully committed, but I believe I'm going to be running the Calhaven Trail Ultra, which is in Michigan. I believe it's the RRCA, the Roadrunners Club of America Championship for the state of Michigan. And then my next race, again, haven't committed yet, but probably 6 days in the Dome in Milwaukee again, Friday night, a 24-hour race. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Now, do you ever see yourself, there's a race that I have in my like bucket list brain for somewhere, but it's totally absurd to even talk about, but it's that newish Cocodona race.
Oh, that
which
is
just
very cool.
that
Cocodona
terrain is just,
250.
you
Yep.
know, do you see yourself doing something like that? 250?
You know, I'm not sure. I have considered doing an FKT across the state of Michigan, which is about 280 miles.
Yeah.
And so I have had that kind of in the back of my mind, but races has kind of interfered with that. So that hasn't happened, but that would be something that I'm interested in.
Ooh, yeah.
I did love the Cocodona. I tracked that and that seemed absolutely amazing. But I'm not a big fan of heat, so I don't know whether I would do well at that race.
Well, this is great. You've got so much going on, and now I'm going to be tracking following all the race
Yay.
results, and I'll post them up. And I'm going to, you and I can settle out. We'll get the links that you mentioned so that I
For
can
sure.
put them
Yep.
in the blog post when I
Okay.
post this. So this is great. I'm so glad we got to talk again and catch up.
Me too. Thanks for having me.
And that things are going so well, and that you've figured out how to deal with the complications and
yes,
that's really great.
yes.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.